Hello, this is TurboDog702 for the Castlevania Symphony of the Night any % tutorial. In this section, I will be going over some of the optimizations that you can be doing for the first part of the prologue, where you play as Richter Belmont on your quest to be able to defeat Dracula at the beginning of Symphony of the Night. I have a video that goes over the basic strategies that you can do as a beginner, but this will be going over some of the more finite optimizations that you can do in order to make your intro just a little bit quicker and get you those times that you're really desiring. As with the previous one, I will be going over the normal start and the neutron bomb start because they are differing quite a bit in the way that you can do them. Some of the starts I might not be able to do mechanically just because I don't do them all the time, but I'll try to give you a good idea of how they're supposed to work if I cannot execute them. So let's go ahead and hop in. Okay, so we're starting up our game. Now, in my first tutorial, I mentioned that the way that I thought was the easiest for people to be able to get up the staircase portion of this was to either start with a slide kick and then go into a run, or just flat run up the stairs and then run off into here. Or the slight optimization that I had for here is once you reach the top, you can start to slide. While this is a quick way to do it, there is actually a faster way. What it involves is slide kicking, and then after you slide kick, doing a gravity boots up, and then chaining together air slashes. Depending on which of the starts you're trying to do will determine how many air slashes you want to do, but that's the basic concept. So basically you would start, slide, gravity boots, air slash, at least 2 of them. If you were doing the normal start, after the second one you would let yourself fall and then begin sliding. And then you would basically continue to slide inside of Drac's chamber. So to try to show that off a little bit inside of real time, I will attempt to do it. And that gets you to it particularly faster.
Monster.
At the end of the last slide into Drac Chamber, if your timing is good enough with your slides and you can time the double tap forward, you can actually run out of the slide, which makes you get to the cutscene trigger a lot faster. So that's another small optimization you can do. Now for the neutron bomb start, it gets a little bit more complicated. The start is still the same for optimization. The slide into the gravity boots into at least 2 air slashes. Where it changes is that you're going to add a 3rd air slash. So you go slide, up, air slash, air slash, air slash. This is where it gets complicated. You will notice that I hit my head on this section during that air slash. That will significantly cut the distance that the 3rd air slash will take me. So you want to try to avoid that. Another way that you can gain yourself more horizontal area is to use the directional influence on gravity jump. So when you gravity jump, you would hold left. And that can give you a little bit more horizontal motion as well. But basically, you want to air slash 3 times. Now, once you air slash 3 times, you have to kind of make a decision on where you're at. Your goal in doing the 3 air slashes and doing directional influence is so that you can uppercut through the roof and be fairly close to the candelabra. Okay. Once you do that, you have a few options. You can either turn and whip, as I mentioned in the beginner's tutorial. If you find that you're far too far to the side, or you don't think the whip will reach, you can super jump and then air slash. Sorry, I dropped it there. And still pick up the heart. Ideally, you want to do your super jump while you're in the air from the air slash and not land on the floor. So let me see if I can do this so you get an idea of what it's supposed to look like. Okay. That time I didn't go far enough to the left, and that's usually what happens to me personally. I'm not the best at this start, but it's kind of the one I use. So I sometimes have to move slightly so that I'm going to reach the upper section. After that, I super jump up and go up there. You'll notice right there I did another small optimization. Instead of super jumping facing the left, if you space it correctly, you can actually turn around and super jump going right and use the super jump's damage to be able to break the candelabra. Oops, I keep turning around. Yeah. And then you can basically land on top of there. That's the most optimal thing that you can do. But that can be really hard to do sometimes, so that's why I mentioned the whip and leaving it out, or doing the air slash to be able to break that. As I mentioned before, you want to try to make it so that you super jump out of the air slash like that, out of your final one. So while there's many ways that you can do this, the basic goal remains the same for the neutron bomb start. You want to go there. You want to try to get some type of directional influence that allows you to get enough spacing to access the attic. Then you want to go in the attic and use one of those methods I mentioned, depending on your spacing, to get that heart. After you get this heart, you want to slide off, whip out, break that. You'll then pick that up. Okay? You have a couple options now. We're going to use the slide kick into backflip to be able to break the pot in front of us. Actually, I'm going to do a simpler one first. The first one we're going to do is we're going to do the vault kick and hold back as we do it. This will reduce the amount that Richter moves forward and almost make us pick up the heart. So basically I land, I whip, I vault kick. At that point I can turn around and slide kick backwards if I so choose. So let's go ahead and kind of show that one in real time. So I slide, whip, slide, and then slide inside of the drac chamber. This can be further optimized by doing this instead. By adding the backflip to it, as I mentioned before, we can further optimize this by going like that and backflipping off of the third candelabra. Then we just slide afterward after we pick up the heart. Another optimization that you can do is to do the slide kick, but this time flip off of that one, which allows you to slide again. The next optimization that you can do is, once again, you break that on your way down. And now we're going to slide into backflip, but we're going to cancel the backflip by whipping and holding forward, which is going to make Richter regain some of his horizontal momentum going forward, so we don't backflip as far. So let's try and do that. You'll notice that I didn't backflip all the way, I just kind of fell down straight, and I was able to pick up the heart a little faster. I prefer that one more than anything else, personally, because even if I screw up on hitting the initial backflip, sometimes I'll hit it and I'll turn and whip, which is a good way to do it as well, or sometimes I'll backflip off of this candelabra, which still lands me on the big heart and still gives me access to the upcoming room. So basically, for real time, you would break that, slide off, whip, slide, and do that. Backflip off of the urn, whip to keep your momentum, and slide in. And then as normal, and as mentioned, with every start, you always whip and slide to pick up the holy water. That should do it for most of the optimizations for the intro section to the prologue with Richter Belmont. We've covered the normal start and the neutron bomb start, rather. You'll notice that it is quite a bit harder and quite a bit more advanced. And it's not an enormous increase in time, but when you're talking about playing at a high level and getting that sub 42 seconds, every second counts. This is TurboDog 702 for the Castlevania Symphony of the Night Any% tutorial.